Hi guys, welcome to one of my political series videos, and I'm going to be very brief. I got a shiny forehead today, and I'm going to talk in about 15 minutes about why I do believe that Kamala Harris, as the eclipse of November 19th, is destined to take over the position of president from Joe Biden due to what looks like health challenges for Joe Biden of some sort. Now, I saw this earlier in the year. I talked about this way back in 2020, 21, but I'm going to bring it up again. Okay, ever since Kamala was running for the election, I saw her given her distributions through the bounds. I thought she was going to win president, then she dropped out of the race, and then she was back in and she's the vice president. So that didn't surprise me. But here I'm seeing this eclipse very strongly impacting Joe Biden. And I can see Kamala in the same breath of the eclipse. I'm going to show you the charts, looking like she's getting ready to step into power. Now, I did all these charts and research for this video on yesterday, November the 18th, recording this on the 19th. Today, in the news cycle of all things, it was announced that she had spent 85 minutes as president of the United States while Joe Biden had his regular physical, including anesthesia for a colonoscopy. This is also the day that we had the Better Back Bill or whatever, I'm Canadian, approved by Congress. Now, you know something? There's no excuse. There's nothing like divine timing in these storylines. On the day of an eclipse, Joe has a medical examination, the first one since December of 2019. Guys, anything that happens on an eclipse is going to roll out for 6 months. There's something that was seeded today that is a seed for a theme of 6 months, and in that case, Joe Biden and his health. Also, I'm kind of thinking, honestly, they just waited until this bill was passed and signed into being by Joe Biden so that they could rush him to get this medical exams that he needs and probably already needed, but they didn't want to do it beforehand lest it cast aspersions on, everything he was up to. So just keep this in mind, and I'm going to show you the chart and tell you why. But I don't need to be right. That's not my goal. I'm just saying the sky says Joe looks like something's going to happen to his health in the next 6 months. Kamala is stepping into more and more power to maybe cover him when he's in surgeries or recovering or something. Now, the eclipse Algol is right on Joe Biden's sun. That eclipse happened right now on December on the 18th, 19th of November on his birthday. His birthday is November the 20th, right? Like, that is not an auspicious thing to have an eclipse on the day of your birthday. And it is a lunar eclipse, meaning that the sun is back on its own sun. So it's a solar return. And then the eclipse, the moon is the opposite direction on Algol, which is Medusa's head being cut, the Medusa with all the snakes on her head who could turn men to stone, being cut off. And the cutting of Medusa's head can represent the beheading of a head of state. Now, not literally, obviously, but someone being deposed from power, somebody stepping down from power, somebody unfortunately being assassinated from power. Those are Medusa type things that can happen. It's a star of death, and it's a star of wealth, but it's also a star of death. Now, in the story of his birthday, timed out with this lunar eclipse in Taurus, right? There is that, but there's also his age, right? Every time we turn an age in the Hellenistic tradition, we go into a profection age. Check out my free annual profections course, which you can get for free to learn how to do this in your own life when you subscribe to my newsletter link below, as well as a bunch of other goodies for subscribing, my forecast newsletter. But the idea is that, the ages are connected to the houses. And so, yes, it's a repeat cycle, 12, 24, 36, 48, 60 years old. We're in our first house age. So Joe Biden is stepping into his 8th house age. Okay. So Joe was born November 20th, 1942. Right. And if you do the math, he said to do the math, so like do your research, right? He's going to turn into the, sorry, my brain is going to off fire for a minute, right? 79th year of his life. And that year, the 79th year, is correlated with the 8th house of death. And a lot of people going through an 8th house year every, 12 years. So take the age of 79 and go back in time, right? To 79, 69, 67. So when he was 67, he had that as well. But we all have these repeating ages of the house of death. And a lot of people do things like retire, or leave behind a 25, 30-year marriage, or, it's some kind of shedding of one's skin and an entire reinvention of self. And sometimes there's literally a death, or we experience the death of those close to us, either one. And so he's going into the house of death. He is a, 79-year-old man. It's not like he's not all that young. And at the same time, Kamala, her birthday was in October, right? On October, what's her birthday? October something, 20th, I think. She stepped up into her 10th house profection age. What is the 10th house? It's leadership, it's power, it's governance, it's heads of state. It's the top place you can go. So she's stepping into that. She did in October, and now Joe is stepping into the house of death. Okay, so I'm a little bit wary about that. So I'm going to show you his chart, then I'll pull up Kamala's. I just realized I'm going to pause the recording that I have to grab her chart and have it ready. I want to keep this short and sweet. So if you can hang in there with me, I'll show you what I'm seeing and you'll get the gist of it. There's Joe Biden's chart. There's Kamala's chart on the outside of his chart. Yes, he stepped into his 8th house age where he has his exalted Jupiter. And that's exactly one of the reasons that he is ahead of a country. And he stepped into that age on his birthday during this eclipse. Like, I'm recording the day before his official birthday. So on November 20th, he steps over the doorway here. Let's just put the eclipse in for now and you'll see what I'm talking about. Recently used. Let's put the transit chart in for, oh, well, we don't want the transit chart for that date. So let's move it forward from the 6th to the future. And the weeks. Sorry, guys. And it doesn't matter that I have Vancouver, Canada there. We just need to see the major planetary positions. And I'll show you what I'm seeing with Joe, why I'm concerned, and also with Kamala as well, and why I'm concerned. So, and let's grab the chart. And, you know, I took notes yesterday. I should grab my notes, honestly. Where are my notes? It would be useful to have them handy. Let's go ahead and get them. Give me a sec. Coming back to you guys. All right, so the eclipse is on the 19th, 18th, 19th, and it really is intense. Oh, how did my share just disappear? You know what? Forget the damn picture. Just trust me on this, okay? I mean, really, it just shut down on me. So basically, what was I seeing in my notes here? I had a whole bunch of notes that I did on the Joe and the Kamala and the thing the other day. Of course, you know what I do? I take notes on pieces of paper. I have no friggin' idea what I do with them afterwards. So classic of me. Okay, so we're not going to do the notes if I can't find them, and I'll just give you my reasons for what I'm saying. So I'm going to share the screen again. Sorry about that. That was like a calamity and a half. The main thing right now is I've told you about the profection ages, right? And how each age supports one of them stepping down in a way. And the 8th house can bring sickness and can bring illness as well as death. Okay, so here we have the sky, and I'm just going to move it ahead by a day. Bear with me. Behind by a day, so we can get to the eclipse day yesterday kind of vibe. Okay, so the moon has moved way the heck on, right? It's way over here, 20, well, it's not way on, it's at 28. The eclipse was at 27. There is Joe Biden's sun at 27 degrees and a half of Scorpio in his 12th house of backroom dealings and negotiations. And it is being eclipsed, okay? In the sense that the lunar eclipse across the way on this fixed star Algol yesterday was exactly opposite his sun. And on his birthday, on November 20th, he's still under the 3-day afterward influence of that eclipse energy. Now, that sun being eclipsed can be an eclipse of his vigor, his vitality, his purpose, and his leadership, because the sun represents the head of state, and he is that head of state, and it is being given an oppositional energy from a full moon lunar eclipse. Next of all, so the opposition from the full moon is what the issue is. Next of all, you could also say that his 8th house profection age started up here. His 8th house is Cancer, and it's ruled by the moon. So anything to do with the moon has a strong influence on his 8th house death and rebirth house. And this lunar eclipse, of course, is a part of that. Finally, his own moon is in his 6th house of illness and sickness, the house of sickness, right? And this can be or the house of, you know, difficult challenges, karmic and physical, and ailments that ail us. And you can see that the moon in the house of sickness is being activated by him stepping into his 8th house profection age. Those are just a few of the thoughts I have on this topic. Now, in Kamala Harris's chart as well, there's some indications of things shifting as well. So I'm going to grab that too and show you what I'm seeing in that particular case. Give me a second. And also, last thing I want to say about this story here, you can see that he's having a Mars return on November the 19th, 2021. Mars is returning to Mars. Mars return charts are very specifically their own thing. In fact, we should probably grab it and take a look. Every 2 years, Mars will return to himself in the sky, and that will tell a story. But this Mars return on the 22nd of November, Mars's heliacal rising into visibility in the morning sky is happening right along this corridor of planets. And Mars rising there, well, the 12th house is the house of hospitals, guys. So Mars is rising in the house of hospitals, while Joe Biden is having this Mars return, rising into visibility, his heliacal rising, which foretells 2 years of maybe health challenges for Joe Biden. Fortunately, Mars also rules, in Mars and Scorpio is like poisons, but also, stealth, spies. This could be some subterfuge. I hope not. I don't hope he's not attacked by some kind of, crazy ass, stealthy spy, bad guy energy. Physically, I hope he's fine that way. But there's just a concern I have about Mars rising really close to the sun, and giving us Mars rising in Scorpio every 24 years or so is doing this time in Joe Biden's house of hospitals. All right. And things that are hidden from the public, backroom negotiations and deals. So if I put out Kamala Harris's chart separately, which I'm going to do, and I look at that chart, here's Kamala getting ready to step into her, out of her ninth house age into her 10th house age. Now, a 10th house age is about prominence, public reputation and status, achievement, hitting the heights, reaching the mountaintop. Well, the mountaintop for her, there's only one way to go. To go up, she has to go to president from vice president. And I knew she was going to win. It's in my videos. I knew Joe Biden was going to win. I have a political series. Go watch them. Had to do a lot with her chart and what was going on for her because she was his running mate. So she spent the last age of 56 in her ninth house, and that's the house of the hand of the king, or the power behind the power, or the advisor to the king and the queen. It is a governance house as well, but it's usually the bureaucratic and the back end of things. And that's where she has been for the last year. And now she'll be stepping out on her birthday. She did in October. And today we're all told that, boy, she was actually the de facto president of the United States for 85 minutes today on November the 19th, the day of the eclipse. Really? Yeah. So a couple of things. Jupiter is the ruler for her next year. See, Joe's going into a lunar ruled year, so all these eclipses are hitting him hard. But she's going into a Jupiter ruled year. Jupiter is the ruler of the 10th house, so that's her perfection age ruler. Well, what is Jupiter? Luck, opportunity, growth, expansion. What is Jupiter doing? Jupiter is going to be in her 10th house between December the 29th and May the 11th, and then again in the end of the year, the last couple months of 2022. She is rising to prominence and power. There's no doubt about it. Jupiter is leader, king of Mount Olympus in her 10th house as she steps into her 10th house perfection age. There is no way in heck this woman is not somehow rising in prominence, and she can only rise to one place, to the presidency. So I don't know if Joe's going to be out of commission for like surgical or health procedures or what, or he's just going to step down for his health. Okay, finally, when I look at her Jupiter being in the eclipse story as well, her backroom dealing Jupiter, a lot of politicians have 12th house planets. I've seen it a lot. It has to do with how they negotiate deals on the back end, backroom, secret negotiations. Now, her Jupiter is also being activated by that eclipse, right? 27 to 24 is an engagement. Jupiter rules her house of partnerships, business and love, her 7th house of marriage and business partners. When you are a vice president, your partner is the president, right? So that eclipse is activating her Jupiter, which means eclipsing of some kind of partner. What kind of partner? And that eclipse is on her Jupiter, right? Her Jupiter is at 24. The moon was at 27 on the exact day of the eclipse, or the hour of the eclipse. So it could be her husband. Maybe her marriage is going to end, but either a marriage partner or a business partner is being eclipsed from her life. But at the same time, there's a change in her status because Jupiter also rules her 10th house of career. Now, last but not least, I'm just going to take a quick peek at Joe Biden's Mars return. If you're still hanging in there because you're an astrology geek like me, I'm glad to stick in, but don't need to if you don't want to. But what's that Mars return suggesting for Joe? And let's pull it up. And yeah, we get a Mars return every 2 years. I know it's not the rarest thing in the world. I could have looked at his solar return, but I'm really curious about that Mars return. All right, Mars return coming up. So Mars returned to his natal spot on November 17th exactly, and at 12 degrees of Scorpio. And I'm just trying to see what kind of tails Mars is. Mars is strongly connected to something sudden, unexpected, and erratic. Boom, this is a Mars opposition Uranus that caused flooding and storms all over the West Coast where I live, which I also, by the way, predicted. And this kind of turbulent, unexpected shock and awe energy is what Mars is engaging in his Mars return. And the ninth house is the house of legal affairs and courts, but also of governance. I just find that interesting, Mars is in a broad trine over here to Neptune. Mars Neptune is a spiritual idealism, spiritual warrior, but it can also be image making. Nothing to see here. I'm totally fine. Don't worry. I'll be all good. Putting a glamour or an image into the field of energetically the public. He's a Gemini rising, by the way, and his ascendant in his Mars return is in the 10th house, and his descendant is in the 4th. It could be a change in status regarding his career. Now, because Mars represents change, before they had Uranus, Mars in the ancient Babylonian tradition was the god of change. One more chart for Joe, and we're out of here. Joe Biden, we're going to pull up his solar return, just a classic snapshot of the themes of 2021 birthday to 22, and subsidiary chart. Let's grab the solar return, and then I'm going to get out of here and make some dinner and end my long work day. We'll do the next, and there we go. So his solar return chart on November 19th, 2022. His birthday is the 20th, but sometimes our solar return birthday is a day or before or after our calendar birthday, because this is astronomically changing age, okay, at 5:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on November 19th. That's when I'm recording. I'm recording at 5 p.m. Pacific time, so just past his astronomical birthday. Well, there could be definitely health challenges. The sun represents one's vitality, and it's in the house of sickness, and it's got the south node, which is kind of leaching out that vitality. Mars is rising on the 22nd, is in the house of sickness and illness, as Mars does its heliacal rise as a morning Mars, activating Joe's solar return house of sickness. This solar return chart recapitulates Joe Biden's natal chart as well. Joe Biden is, in fact, a Gemini rising and a Sag descendant, flipped from Kamala. So this is a interesting narrative. Oh, Joe is a Sag rising. This is a flipping of his natal chart, I should say. Interesting. Mars in the first house of the body. I didn't put the ascendant in here. Let's check the actual ascendant of this chart right now. Yeah, I wanted to keep it a very visual simplicity last time. Come on. Can you guys see the chart? Because I can't. It just disappeared on me. There we go. All right, so Mars is on the ascendant. Not exactly, but it could mean a need for surgery, inflammation, or health challenges, or accidents. Those are themes of Mars on the ascendant in the solar return year. I just find it that Jupiter Neptune is like, let me delude you that I'm really in charge. Let me put a glamour around everything, that I'm really the boss here. His midheaven in his natal chart, guys, is Virgo, and Virgo is flipped to the 4th house of home and hiding out and being out of the public eye. I think he's going out of the public eye. There's no doubt about it. And his, midheaven is now down at the bottom of the chart, his natal midheaven. His partner, is a female, right? And that's Kamala. It's also his wife, but just having the female partner so prominently on the descendant is just, I think he's going to pass the baton for Kamala. And then his Saturn in the house of the power behind the scenes. The ninth house is kind of interesting as well. Like he's going to talk the power whisperer behind the scenes while Kamala is running the front line of the show. I'm just making stuff up. I can't tell for sure. I don't particularly like the fact that there's a Uranus opposing on the nodal axis, opposing the house of health and health protocols. And this is a house of hospitals. I'd say this could mean sudden hospitalization or sudden dramatic change of health status out of the blue, maybe not out of the blue because it could have been hidden from the public. That's it. I'm done. I don't think Joe's mental health is a challenge, although there's that. I think it is something physically may be wrong with him. Maybe some of his fogginess, he's been taking pain medication or something like that. I don't know. I mean, I'm not political. I'm Canadian. I'm not American. I don't have a stance around Democrat or Republican. Okay, so here you go. That's my story and I'm sticking with it. And I will put this video up. I'm doing it on the 19th. Hopefully, maybe I'll just stick this up tonight on Friday night. What the heck? I'm going to put it up right away. Ciao, ciao, guys.